I'm going to talk to you today about conducting an effective job search, and a biggest part that we want to focus on is often the hardest part of looking for employment is just getting started. That's something that you don't want to hinder the process by allowing fear or failure or confusion about how to go about a job search to stop you in getting started. There are 3 questions that you should be asking yourself before you begin your job search. One of them is, what type of job would I like to do? What kind of organization or industry would I like to work for? And the third one, where would I like to work? Where across the country, outside of Canada, what would that look like to you? Did you know 48% of candidates hired are hired through networking? 28% are hired through direct employer contact. 13% are hired through a combination of networking and direct employer contact. So we see a strong sense of getting out there and connecting. 8% only through classified advertisements, and 3% are hired through employment agencies. Now these stats may vary, certainly, depending on where you're job searching, what part of the country or province you may be looking in. But because of this, it is so critically important not to only focus on advertised positions, not to wait only till a position becomes advertised. And I'm going to focus today on a variety of different methods. I'm going to give you 7 job search tips. Hopefully they'll help you with conducting an effective job search. Know your product. Carol mentioned earlier for BMO about how to career plan, and that's a big part of it, knowing who you are. Know your target market. Know where you're looking, what's out there. Create your job search materials. Develop a job search plan. Take action. Follow up. And review your progress. If you want to break down your job search, 7 key steps to consider. There's a lot involved in each, and we're going to take some time this morning to go through the individual steps. Know your product. Identify a specific career objective. What does that look like for you? Is it a position that you're coming out with from your college, university, high school program? Be specific with that career objective. You want to ask yourself a number of questions and be aware of, what do you have to offer in exchange for a paycheck? Analyze your skills. Assess what you are bringing to the table. What employers are looking for and require in a prospective candidate. It's your job to be very familiar with what the market is looking for, and that takes research. Knowing your product can include the experience you're bringing, the education you have or you're working toward, various skills and abilities that you're bringing, and activities that you're involved in. Know your target market. How important is it to know what employers are looking for? One of the biggest mistakes that people make in their job search is they don't take the time to research what's out there, what employers want. How can you accurately and effectively brand your product for what the market needs are if you don't know those market needs? Knowing your target market is a need-to-know part of your job search, and it's often missed. Assess the type of employment and position that you want and what will be suited for you. You may find that you have to narrow or expand your scope during a number of employers, expand your scope depending on the number of employment opportunities and employers that you're connecting with. So today we are in a bit of a slow time. They are saying we are in a recession, but that still means there is employment out there. It may be in different forms for you. When you're researching, research the employment market, identify prospective companies, begin by developing lists of industries, organizations, contacts, identify employer requirements for job search. How can you do this? One form is informational interviews, connecting with employers face-to-face and asking them about their company, their organization, what their growth potential is, what the pros of that particular position that you're targeting look like. What are the cons? What are the challenges? If and when they are hiring an applicant, what do they look for in educational requirements? So there's a number of questions that you can learn by actually putting yourself in the interview seat. Begin by attending networking and event sessions, career fairs. Read business magazines, journals, corporate manuals. Research by and through company websites. Conduct labor market research, finding out what growth opportunities exist, what's slowing down, and what may be coming in the future. The best place to start is with your circle of contacts. Begin by talking to people you know that will be a great source and can connect you. This could be friends, family members, co-workers, teachers, a career coach, a mentor, neighbors, and new acquaintances. We're here today. This is a great start to connect and talk to someone new about what you're looking for and what you may have to offer. Before you begin your job search, before you create your materials, you must do active research. It is critical. Sometimes job seekers start with creating their marketing materials, and that's not the place to begin. Once you've assessed your skills, you've identified target opportunities and markets, you've done a thorough research, then and only then should we create our job search materials. You can take a look at targeted resumes and cover letters, portfolios. Portfolios are proof of the information that you have, the experiences. It allows you to showcase during an interview. And scripts, introductory brief mini scripts or mini resumes that allow you to introduce yourself to employers via maybe a cold call, a direct employer contact, or at a networking session. Today, I understand that you're able to get some assistance and help with your resume, so that's a great start to that process. Develop a job search plan. Map out activities. What would a 2-week period look like? Where do you want to start? How many employers would you be connecting with per week? How many hours do you need to spend working on your job search marketing materials? How much time should you spend following up? What time do you want to spend researching and exploring new opportunities or avenues? So job search is not strictly pounding the pavement or making calls or submitting resumes via mail or electronic form. It's really a plan of action. List the goals that you hope to achieve. By the end of a 2-week period or a 1-month period, what do you hope to see completed? What would that look like for you? What would success be? Set specific deadlines and follow-up dates. Create a process to organize your work and success. Do you have an area within your home that you can go lay out your materials, specifically refer to when you get a call from an employer so that you're not fumbling around? You have the information at hand. Are you keeping track of every employer that you've contacted, what their feedback was, what their response was? What if you attend interviews and the interview goes well, but the feedback is that they made a decision to hire another candidate, are you following up with that employer to understand not so much the reasons why, but what that candidate had that you could work to improve on? So a big part of developing a job search plan is time-consuming in laying out that plan and making sure you're doing a little bit of everything. You may work with a career coach, a teacher, an instructor, an employment rep, or an employer directly. And the suggestions that they make may not fit or suit what's right for you. It's very important that you identify the work search methods that fit your style, keeping in mind what the most successful are and which ones bring the best and the quickest success. There we go. Connect with a variety of different people to continually meet and grow your circle of friends, circle of contacts. Advertisements. How many ads should you apply to? Well, you need to decide. You need to take a look at what you're able to do from those postings and what you're able to provide support to. Whether that be through interviewing, whether that be through your portfolio, whether that be through proof of competency. Online postings. I mentioned in the introduction I work at Mount Royal College, and one of the big mistakes that we see a lot of job seekers, students and grads doing today is only looking at online postings. We cannot encourage you enough to expand your job search methods. The earlier clip I showed was identical to the truth of you will find employment faster the more you network, the more people you talk to, the more you reach out. So what happens with a lot of the advertisements and online postings, many times they're not even real jobs, being aware of that. Being aware that companies are putting them out there for future employment, to grow their company at a later time, to also take a look at showing that they're growing versus slowing down. What you want to do is be aware that if you only apply online, if you only apply to advertisements, you are tapping what we call the open market. And the open market is available across the world. So what you want to do is you want to get in on the ground floor to that company before everyone else does and work your way in and up. And that may mean approaching a company that is not in fact advertising. That's the best way to find employment. Direct employer contact would mean making cold calls, would mean identifying a script and writing an intro statement that best sells your brand, what skills, education, experience you have to offer, what you can bring to that company, what you feel you can strive to achieve. Employment agencies, getting listed with a number of them. So don't count on one agency. You may never hear back from them. Definitely keeping your eye on all the opportunities out there, job fairs, career fairs, networking events. So a number of ways that you can take a look at your job search. When you have implemented that strategy and started the process of contacting and applying, follow-up is critical. Follow-up is a step that is missed on a regular basis. Sometimes we assume that employers are quite busy. They don't want to be bothered. The ad or posting or open market may have said, don't contact us, we'll contact you, or only those suitable applicants need apply. Follow-up can come in many forms. It can come initially by asking an employer via an email or a phone call, did you in fact receive my marketing materials? I've seen more people lose out on an opportunity assuming their resume and cover letter was received by the employer when it never was. So take some time to make that call. You can also check in and identify when they might be starting the interview process. This can be done by telephone, by thank you letters, emails, a number of ways. If you were to do an informational interview, to do your market research, absolutely provide a thank you letter to whoever you meet with within a 48-hour time frame. That person may pass your name along to someone else at a later time. That person will consider you a person that follows through and appreciates the time that was given. If you were asked to provide additional support materials, whether it be a portfolio, reference letters, information in other forms, make sure that you follow through with that information. It tells an employer a lot about you. It says that you complete tasks, you follow through, and it reminds them of who you are. And it shows that you honor your word. What are you going to be like on the job if you don't follow through at this time? Keep the people that are helping you with your job search informed. Let them know where you're at in the process. Reviewing your process is important because sometimes we do set unrealistic goals. Sometimes we need to remeasure where we're at and reassess what strategies might be working, what strategies may be new strategies that need to be implemented based on the market, based on feedback from employers. And that may mean a number of things: reevaluating your timelines, identifying your marketing materials, where the strengths are, areas that you can implement to find better success. Check in. What does check in mean? Well, check in with the individuals that are supporting you. I would recommend that you have a mentor, a coach, a friend, a previous employer, a career personnel, someone that can ask you, what was your timeline? What did you complete in the last 2 weeks? Why not? What's working? What's not working? Sometimes we need other people to give us support, a pat on the back, sometimes a kick in the you know what. There are areas of job search that are easier for different people. Some people really struggle with putting marketing materials together. Others struggle with the actual contact of employers. Direct and contact and networking can be very uncomfortable for some individuals. Where do you struggle? Where do you need that additional support? That check-in with individuals is important. Looking for a job can truly be one of the hardest jobs you may have. Many students that I see think the school program is the challenge and the hard part. Once you graduate and finish school, it's looking for a job, regardless of who we are and where we are in life. So don't do it alone. There are a number of sources to help you. There are a number of employers and service providers here today to give you some good ideas and advice. Pull on that information. Use them as a source. Reevaluate timelines, reevaluate where you're at, and reevaluate the whole process. So in summary, job search can be 7 easy steps. Know your product, know your target market, create your job search materials, develop a job search plan, take action, follow up, and review your progress. Remember, looking for a job can be a full-time job. Focus on the rewards. Work you put in today will pay off tomorrow. Thank you.